What type of order is the list in? This isn't ranking how good the player is, but it kind of is. This is career earnings. And I wanted to put Bradley Beal in here, so I took it to 11. Typically, people do top 10s. That's kind of makes most sense. People like good, clean numbers. But I wanted to do 11 because I wanted to talk about the Bradley Beal archetype a little bit. Okay, so Beal, of all the active players, this is all active players, has made the 11th most amount of money. I'm including Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook in here because they're not on a contract, but I still think they're going to sign contracts and they're active players. I'm assuming. But Beal is on here, all right? And given the new deal he is on and the buyout, giving up $13 million, I had to talk about him. And I have to talk about this archetype of player, the reluctant Supermax, the John Walls, the Russell Westbrooks, the soon-to-be Jaylen Browns, okay? So this is I didn't even give him a grade. I didn't even give Bradley Beal a grade. It was off the charts level of cost inefficiency, okay? And what I'm saying is respect. Bradley Beal, you got your bag. You are a great player. Bradley Beal is a great player, but he is grossly overcompensated for his contributions to the teams he's been on. Okay, so 18 million per point. You're going to see, you don't have any frame of reference for this. That's actually not bad. But I wanted to put on here cost per All-Star season, $109 million. Cost per All-NBA season, $318 million. The amount of money he's made in his career. He's been All-NBA once. And he's made the 11th most amount of money. Do I say this to criticize Bradley Beal? No, I'm saying, Bradley Beal, you are awesome. You did it, man. That's wild. 21 and a half points per game. Part of us, do we want to say, hey, but Beal, he was on a bad team for most of his career. Is it his fault that he's only been an All-Star 3 times and only an All-NBA player once? I'd like to, but remember, this was the thing. When he joined the Suns, we said, well, now he's finally going to be on a good team. He's going to be awesome. I mean, his team's been holding him back. Now he's going to be with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. We're about to see what he's really got. And we did. And they were like, oh, dude, I think Bradley Beal is the ultimate good stats, bad team guy. I think he thrives on bad teams. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong. I mean, this is just, I got nothing against Bradley Beal. What do I care? I don't care. I don't care at all. I'm just trying to make sense of all of this. So, the Clippers this year, they signed him to a $10 million deal, 2 years, with a player option. Not bad, okay? This is it. So Beal believes, essentially, he had 2 years left on that Suns deal, right? So he gives up $13.9 million and signs an $11 million for 2 years with the player option. So if he doesn't use the player option, then he's losing $3 million in the buyout. So he thinks to himself, well, I'm going to get a player option, and then I'm going to ball out so hard next year as a Clipper. I'm going to get my second All-NBA selection. And then I'm going to opt out of my player option, and then I'm going to sign this giant-ass contract, a max contract, and I'm going to show everyone I'm not a good stats, bad team guy. This is what Beal is thinking. So he's got to show us what he's got this year. He has to say, y'all thought Norm Powell was good? You thought he was the man? You thought he was a borderline all-star? Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. So that's what he's got to do. Otherwise, he's going to lose a little bit of money on that deal. I'm saying there's these reluctant supermaxes, and I'm saying we're not going to see them so much anymore because we're going to have these Damian Lillards, we're going to have these Bradley Beals, where people are just wasting money and buying their way. They're buying their way out of the contract or getting waived. You're thinking these teams are going to learn their lessons. They're not going to be say, hey, this guy's 30 years old, we're not going to sign this supermax extension or anything. Wrong. John Wall, Russell Westbrook. Dude, these giant, nasty contracts. Batum. I love Nicholas Batum, but he was on one too. They will always get signed. And I think Booker's going to be on it. I talked about this on the podcast. There's a new episode of the podcast, and thank you to my patrons of... How do you guys feel about patrons? I feel like it's a strange... I know where it comes from, but it feels weird calling someone my patron. But I talked about this a little bit on the show. But I don't know. I don't want to get all the way into it. But I think the Devin Booker extension, I'm disappointed in him. I think that team's going to be bad for a really long time while they're paying off the Bradley Beal wave and stretch. He knows that. They're going to be crippled by that. They don't have a lot of draft picks. And he signed an extension anyway. It was for a lot of money, but he's sort of signing up for basketball hell for the cash. Ooh, Booker. It's one of those things you do. You're like, man, because it goes to $69 million. Nice. It goes up to $69 million until 2030. It's a player option, but nobody opts out of $69 million. They don't. So let's just say he's going to pick that up. All right? I think he's going to pick that up. Because I don't know how old he's going to be, but he's not going to say, oh, $69 million? Someone will probably sign me for more money than that at whatever age I am, in my 30s. They're not going to. So Booker is going to be there until 2030 on a team that has no chance. It's still going to be paying off Bradley Beal's deal and having no real draft picks. Okay? And Booker saw that and he said, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and I'm taking it. So, fair enough. That was a decision he made. Moving on. That was a long slide, but I had to prove my point. Now, Kawhi Leonard, his are pretty bad. His cost per game is $444,000 per game. Okay? That's the worst of all the players on here. He's made the 10th most amount of money. Again, these aren't like... If you have a problem with the ranking or the order, this is objective. This is their career earnings, okay? But if you have a problem with the grade, let's fight. I'm not scared. I took a boxing class once, bitch. So, I gave him a B. You're probably thinking, well, he has the worst per game cost. Why would you give him a B? Wouldn't you give him an F? I wouldn't. And everything else is bad too. But the reason I wouldn't, 2 finals MVPs, meaning he's won 2 championships. Okay? He's won 2 championships and he has 2 DPOYs. He's excellent. So the real thing is, if you're the Clippers and you've paid him $241 million, you're looking at me, if you're Steve Ballmer, and saying, what? Is the least cost-effective player of all time. Kawhi Leonard is the worst investment of my life. Hands down. But if you're the Toronto Raptors and you only paid him $20 million and you got your first championship, that's the best money you ever spent. So I have to give him B. Even if you're the Spurs, you paid him $63 million. You got a championship out of him. You got a finals MVP out of him. You're saying, yeah, money well spent. And he was awesome on his rookie contract. We are very happy. So really, he gets a B because he's a pretty cost-effective player, even though he didn't play a lot of games. And really the only people that should be salty about it is the Clippers. But they just extended him last year. They want more Kawhi Leonard. So, I don't know. Maybe they're looking for... Nobody's displeased. Nobody's displeased about Kawhi Leonard. So Damian Lillard, I gave him a D. I know. Here's the thing about Dame, and I'm happy. Someone on the Patreon, Thalsey on the Patreon, he was saying, because I don't know about this Damian Lillard bringing him back to Portland. I'm not crazy about it. I said this on the Patreon. I said, you're bringing him back for a year. That first year is burned cash. It's like $14 million. I don't know. He got $14 million. He's not playing a game. Wasted money. All right, fair enough. You can say, well, he's going to be guiding Scoot. He's going to be mentoring him, and that's worth the 14. Fine. That's fine. Okay. Then you have him for the following year. He might be good. It's going to be $14 million. Okay. And then if he is really good, he'll get an offer from another team, or you'll have to re-up his contract because he has a player option. So he might even just take off on that. When I see it, I look at it and I think, seems like a lot of money. Because in reality, what I see is you're paying him for 2 years. You're paying him to play 1 year, but you're paying him for 2 years. So it's like $28 million for next season. So when I see that, I'm like, you shouldn't have done that. I don't know why you would do that. But Thalsey on the Patreon told me it's because we love Dame. And he said he's happy. The whole city's happy. They're hyped that he's back. And happiness is almost as good as money. So I get it, but he's not a pretty effective player. I mean, he's pretty much mid on everything. When you're talking about assists, cost per assist, cost per rebound, I didn't put it on here, but kind of middle of the pack for all these guys. His point paying per point is actually not bad. He's actually cheaper per point than KD and Steph. You'll see. So really what brought him down is he's sort of just mid on everything else. His shooting percentage isn't as high as the other guys, and he hasn't really had a whole lot of playoff success. Granted, that 2019 Western Conference Finals, but they did get swept. They got swept without KD. I think they actually got swept without KD and Clay. I shouldn't say that because I don't know. I don't remember, but I know KD did not play in that series. So I have to bring him down a bit. But again, I want to give props to all these guys. Like, mad respect for getting your bag, securing your bag. Man, Dame is going to make so much money. He got waived, so you get all that money, and then you just signed a $42 million deal. It's crazy. I wonder it's so much money that it makes me think, like, what are you going to do with all that? It's the amount of money where you could start a country. You could start like a small settlement. You could build your own community. You could build a government. It's so much money that you could really do some impactful stuff that goes beyond just buying things. What do you think he does? What do you think he does with it? I don't know. What do these guys do with all this money? How many Lamborghinis can you buy? Actually, you know what? I think Shaq owns like a hangar full of Lamborghinis. I think I heard him say that once. He was doing an interview with De'Aaron Fox, and they were talking about money that they had and what they did with it. And he starts talking about his hangar of Lamborghinis collecting dust. It's a crying shame. AD. I gave AD a C-. And the reason is the cost per game is Kawhi Leonard has the only worst cost per game. $426,000 per game. It's not good, I'm telling you. The per rebound is about the same as Russ, which is really more of me hyping up Russ's stats than me being critical of, or me being praising AD. But again, I gave him a C-. Just AD has been injured for so much time. He's been on a max contract for basically, after his rookie season, he's been on a max, supermax contract. He's been getting paid most of his life. So he's been missing a lot of games too. I like AD. Seems like a nice guy. I also like the way he plays. He's really good. But he's just missed a lot of time. That's the problem. And he only has one championship versus Kawhi, who has two. AD also never had a defensive player of the year, which I know he's salty about. What did he say? I forget who he was. He went bad on somebody. Somebody won DPOY. It might have been Rudy. But he was upset one year that he didn't win. It might have been Jaren Jackson Jr. But one year, forget what he had to say, but he was mopey about not getting Defensive Player of the Year or not being in the conversation for it. I don't remember the exact details of it, but he wasn't too pleased. But he won a championship, and I'm sure of all the guys on here, he has the cheapest blocks. I didn't include that in the research, though. So, we can move on. Russ. I'm going to praise Russ. Let me glaze Russ for a bit. This is going to be the first time I've ever done this. This is like an opportunity because I'm such a nasty little prick most of the time. I'm such a just little fuck, being mean about all these guys. They make too much money, being a little bit bitter. I don't know what's going on with me. But I get to praise Russ, which feels good because Russ is my brother and I love him. 7th most in career earnings and cost per game. $279,000 per game, which is the cheapest of all these guys. Russ doesn't get injured very much, but also what brings his price down a lot, he is by far the cheapest too. He's close to it. Another guy is cheap as well, but he's by far the cheapest. But what really has been bringing his price down is he was on a min deal with the Clippers. He's been on a min deal with the Denver Nuggets, so he's been his cost per game has gone way down just because of the averages of making $4 million a year. But cost per rebound about the same as AD. Not bad. Dude has also been to the finals. He's had some postseason success. Not too much as of lately, but great career for Russ. And he earned a lot of money. I wonder if he still owns. I know Russ, speaking of what you do with all this money, I do know he owned car dealerships in the Valley. And he's owned car dealerships in the Valley for over 10 years. He got his first rookie paycheck and then bought a car dealership in the Valley. I swear. It's called Russell Westbrook Honda. Look it up. I think it's still around. I haven't seen it. I haven't heard an ad or seen anything one of those license plate holders with Russell Westbrook's Valley Honda. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen one, so maybe he's moved on to other ventures. PG gets a big fat D from me. Listen, I don't want to do this. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do the whole Paul George thing again. Again, I talked a little bit about on the Patreon. I don't think Paul George really loves the game anymore, and I think people are sort of getting... I don't know. If you're a Paul George fan, let me know. Are you still rocking with him? Do you like him? Do you think he's a joke? Because I'm sort of on the side of thinking he's a little bit fun to laugh at, I don't want to bring anyone down, but I'm really enjoying... I don't know what it is. I think and I talked about this, when a guy gets hurt, when you see Tatum get hurt, when you see Halliburton get hurt and they cry and they weep and they pound the floor, it feels good for us. It's a weird moment. We think, wow, that guy really loves this game. You want to be a little bit heartbroken by sports. It's kind of why we're here. We want to feel something. We want to see someone emote. We want to see something that matters. And with Paul George, it's sort of at this point in his career, I think this just tends to happen with older players. They get to that point and they're just like, ooh, I'm hurt again. This is all part of the process. It's business as usual. It's they manage a career like anyone else would manage a career. They're not going to cry about it. They're going to say, good thing I signed my contract last year. Good thing I'm not in a contract year. It would suck to be hurt then. Am I wrong? But PG has made a lot of money and not got that many rebounds or not got that many assists for the amount of money he's made. $18 million per point isn't bad, but for most of this stuff, Paul George has been a grossly overpaid player. Had some great seasons, but cost per game about the same as KD and Steph, which I actually found pretty interesting. So he hasn't really missed that much time. He's just not been a particularly great rebounder or passer or playmaker for the money. Kind of interesting. Again, the Clippers are the ones who really are the Bomber's calling me back, and he's saying, that's the second worst investment of my life. Actually, he would probably call me and say, hey, Paul George, actually, I take it back. You know how I said Kawhi Leonard was the worst investment of my life? I forgot about Paul George. I wiped him from my memory. But you brought him back, and I forgot. That is the worst investment of my life. Love you, Paul. We'll move on. So, Harden. Harden is a B+. Now, this is going to be wild to most people. Most people are going to be pretty shook by this because most people think, James Harden, he doesn't do anything in the postseason. Well, let's be honest. There are a lot of guys that are on this list that have not won championships. And James Harden has been to the finals. He's had some success. When he's been the star player on a team, he's choked. But again, if we look at cost per point, he's up there 13 million. Okay, I'll be honest. So 13,000, I think LeBron is 12,000. So cost per point, he is right up there. He is effective, dude. He is a smart purchase. He is the Honda Civic. He is the Honda Civic of the NBA. What's a better car? What's like a better car, but is still sturdy? Like a Volvo? He's like the Volvo of the NBA. He is good. And that is why he's signing a contract this year for $40 million. Everyone says, yeah, but he puttered out during the playoffs. It's like, yeah, he did, but he was all NBA. He was all NBA. And maybe he'll putter out in the playoffs again, but he was an all NBA player. And I think he played the second most amount of minutes this season. The guy gets $40 million. He's relatively durable too. So while he may choke in the playoffs, while he may never win a championship, you just have to look at him and say, man, but he's just going to get out there. I think it was only on the Nets was when he was sort of injury prone. And part of that might have been a little bit of I just am a little bit pouty and I don't like Kyrie and KD, or I don't like Nash. There's something about the Brooklyn Nets that he didn't like. He didn't like being there and he wanted to leave. And he did. All right, Chris Paul. Again, I'm assuming he's going to be in the league next year. I don't know where he's going to sign. I think he's going to sign with the Bucks. Unless other news didn't come out about Chris Paul. That would suck if Chris Paul had already signed a deal and I didn't know about it. No, because I'm getting Shams alert for guys. I'm getting Shams tweets pushed to my phone for guys that I swear don't exist. That has to be an unbelievably... I would not like that job. Would you like that job? Being Shams? I would not. You gotta be on alert for Joe Curtis signing a two-way with the Brooklyn Nets. That's a name I made up, but it was probably Shams' last tweet. It's unfortunate. So, CP3 earned a lot of money, man. Earned a lot of money in his day. $400 million. He is pushing $500 million. But he's been in the league for a very long time. And cost per game, almost. Basically, and again, he's sort of in the Russ space as well. His contracts are getting cheaper, and he's been in the league for longer. So the beginning of his career, he was obviously making a lot less money because the salary cap has basically doubled since he entered the league. So that's going to make him cheaper too. But he made $10 million last year with the San Antonio Spurs. So he's still not signing minimum contracts. He's still doing well. I think he's going to sign for like a mid-level exception this year. So he's still making money. He might get even higher. He's not going to get any higher than 4. Because the guys that are higher than him, they're going to be in the league for a lot longer too. But cost per game, definitely very efficient. And then cost per assist, of course. He's the cheapest. The cheapest assist in town. Chris Paul. What do you guys think? I kind of want him to get a championship at this point. I used to like him. Until I heard him on like the Old Man and the Three, and I heard him on Russillo's podcast. Basically, I liked Chris Paul until I heard him open his mouth, and I was like, oh, this guy's his personality does kind of... It's not like it sucks. I'm sure he's a really great guy, but I don't think we jive. I wouldn't mind him winning a championship. It wouldn't upset me. Who would you rather have win a championship? Russell Westbrook or Chris Paul? I think Chris Paul. I think you're going to disagree with me, but I think it's Chris Paul. We can move on from here. 20 years in the league. Wow. All right, and Steph. Here's the interesting thing. So, cost per game wise and cost per point, Steph isn't the best. So really if I were just looking at that, he probably wouldn't be an A because he's not even up on the top of this list. That's the interesting thing. So really, when we're talking about Steph Curry, we're talking about efficiency. I think he has the best free throw percentage of all time, at least according to Basketball Reference. That's why it's in yellow. See how it's yellow? And then I think he leads in three-point attempts and three-pointers made. So I am sure there's some qualifier for having to have shot so many shots. But according to Basketball Reference, best free throw percentage of all time. Better than Rick Barry, who I thought it was. Is it Rick Barry? I'm just going off Basketball Reference. So the fact that he has 4 championships, greatest three-point shooter of all time, probably the most efficient shooter ever, I have to give him an A minus. Gave him an A minus. I know. It feels weird. It feels weird giving him an A minus. It was because when I did the math, it was hard to come up with stats that I could justify giving him an A. But given that he has 4 championships, you got to admit the guy is pretty damn good. But he's also, I think it's a lot, like, Steph has also been the highest paid player in the league for 8 years as he's been in the league, which is something we can't say for LeBron. I don't know if LeBron has ever been the highest paid player in the league. So Steph has been contract lucky to sort of be extending at the right time to get the most amount of money. I think that's it. So it's not that Steph's not good. It's just that he's been really expensive. All right? All right, Curry fans? I'm a Curry fan too. KD. All right, so I gave KD a B+. I think he's, he is $447 million. He's the second most career earnings of all active players, which makes sense. 81. It's crazy, 147 with the Nets. Isn't that kind of fascinating that the team that has paid him the most money in his career is the Brooklyn Nets? Probably the team that he would most likely want to forget, right? I would assume. 14,000 per point, which I think is the second best. I could be wrong. It's the second best on here. And then cost per game is 398,000, which is still pretty solid. Again, cost per game, Paul George, I think was better. Just throwing that out there. I feel like I criticized Paul George so much, I got to stick up for him a little bit. Cost per All-Star season, that was something I thought was fun. 31 million. So if you think about how much you pay for a KD All-Star season, it's pretty low, relatively speaking. But there have been seasons where KD hasn't played very much, or there was the one season where he didn't play at all, his first season as a net, which sort of brought him down a little bit. Again, another guy that's been sort of lucky with contracts. But I forgot, I can't believe I didn't mention this. I think KD is a little more of a budget player because remember the salary cap spike in 2016. That's why the Warriors were able to sign him as a free agent, but I forgot about this. He took a bit of a pay cut. That's why. That's why. He's been in the league longer than Steph, but he's barely making a little more money than Steph. And the reason being is because he had to take that little bit of a pay cut for those 3 years that he was in Golden State. It all makes sense. Numbers all make sense. If you really take the time to add them up, they're never wrong. Okay, and then LeBron, of course. And here's the thing about LeBron. A+. I even think now, if you sign him to a max contract, it's still worth the money. I don't think at any point in his career he's been underpaid or overpaid in no possible way. Because I believe that he's never been the highest paid player in the league. And there have been plenty of years where he has been the best player in the league or the most effective player in the league. So we're talking, if we go by playoff game, which I wanted to put that in there because I think he's played the most playoff games, you're paying $1 million. You're paying about $2 million per playoff game, which is way lower than anyone else. He's cheap. He's cost effective. And you're paying $12,000 per point. No one on this list is even close. And he has 4 championships. So it's not even like he's a dud. You're paying good money for LeBron James. And he's at $500 million. LeBron did build a school, so he's partially on his way to building a city, to building a civilization. So he's making good use of that money. I wonder what he's going to do next. It's crazy because you still can't even, I know he's a billionaire, but can he buy a team outright? How much money do you think he has? Let's say the expansion fee is, what are you think it's going to be $8 billion? It might be. What's the biggest check LeBron can write? $2 billion? I don't know. I literally have no idea. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate y'all. There is a Patreon if you'd like to join. I talk a little bit more about Booker, talk a little bit more about Dame. I talk about how salty Shaq is, and then I talk a little bit about making content too, and how you sort of have to make clickbait that's a little bit negative for YouTube. And I don't really feel ethically great about it, but I do it anyway. So yeah, thank you for being here. Be good to your mother, eat a corn dog.